Welcome to the new IT. I am one of your hosts, Bobby Glenn James, along with
Brad Anderson.
And we're here to talk about the new IT. What are we talking about today, Brad? What's going on?
Today's actually a really interesting topic. Today we're going to talk women in tech.
Ooh, women in tech. I am so excited about this topic just because I'm curious. Some of the greatest IT people that I worked with were female.
Absolutely.
And we just don't see a lot. So I'm excited to find out. So how are we doing this? Where are we going?
So what we decided to do, you and I started thinking about it, and we started formulating some questions, and we both realized, this is great and all, but we need a perspective of a woman who's in IT. So what we did is we reached out to Brandy Smith, and Brandy's here to join us today, and we're very lucky to have her.
Thank you very much for having me today. So I am Brandy Smith, as introduced. I work within technology. I initially started off within areas of web analytics. I worked in web analytics for companies like CNN. I also worked for BMW. I decided to do a complete change because my mind just was super curious, and I moved into development. Within development, I did full stack development. Started off with the back end areas of development doing Java. After doing Java, I said, hey, this custom management system tool seems very cool. Let me kind of move into that. And then I started doing development within CMS, a CMS called AEM. And I've been within AEM for a few years now. So curiosity led me to be exploratory and look into more technologies. And as a result, it's just been a constant growth since then.
Wow.
That is awesome.
That is exciting. I wish I had that kind of a brain.
Right.
I don't. I've been in IT 20 years, and developers are magic people to me.
All you got to remember is just full stack development. And they are a breed of their own, and they're awesome.
I love the way their brain works.
Right.
I wish I had a brain like that. Awesome. So should we just jump right into the show and start asking questions?
Yeah, we can do that.
Awesome.
So, Brandy, my first question to you is, why do you think there isn't a lot of women in tech?
So I think that we're underrepresented because one, I don't think parents naturally move. My mother didn't naturally. My mother was an English teacher. My aunt started off as a history teacher. So initially that wasn't their strongest point. So my mother wanted to kind of balance the world out by putting it in something that she wasn't as strong in. And she put me in math and science programs. So probably since the 9th grade, I was in Penn State math and science program, UCLA math and science programs. I've probably been in more math and science programs than you could possibly imagine. But my family is also educators, so they knew areas to really be able to push me into so that I can become stronger and just become a little bit tighter. So initially, IT starts off with the basic simplicities of math and science. So if you don't have a true background in that, if you're kind of more, English major, if you're more of a history major, then you don't naturally migrate to a math and science kind of major like computer science. Not only that, my mom literally told me my first year as I was wandering around campus of my first year of college, she said the only education I'll pay for is computer science. So I didn't really have a choice.
Fair enough.
Wow. Oh, do you like it? I hope. Darn it.
Mm-hmm.
I love being able to really be able to kind of dig in deep into areas where women are underrepresented, where women are underrepresented, period. So to be able to be a person who can walk into, not only as a woman, but as a minority woman and end up dealing with aspects of diversity and inclusion, all kind of other things, you really start to understand who you are, and you start to love it because being underrepresented allows you to push a little bit harder, work a little bit harder, stay up a few later nights, make sure that you're successful no matter what. And I think that road has allowed me to really love everything about technology, because not just because I want to show people who I am, but I want to show people that women can be strong within technology.
Oh,
absolutely.
Man. I love that. With that, I'd like to ask the question: Do you think, as a woman, it was a lot harder to do that, or was it easier in some ways? I mean, do you think you really had to push against the grain, or was it, whoa, this is different, and or was it easier or harder? That's my simple question.
I don't think it was harder in regards to learning, right? Because I think if you put forth any opportunity and any type of, if you put forth I always call it, my theory is whatever is like the gut of your stomach, right? So the gut of your stomach to me means that everything that you have, the energy, the life, the determination, the willpower, is what's considered to be the gut of my stomach. As long as I have that involved in everything that I do, it allows my road to be a lot easier because I can rely on that. I can rely on my success because I know that my will for success, the gut of my stomach, the pit of my stomach, everything that allows me to determine my personal success, it will always allow me and like root me in the area of success.
Wow.
So it wasn't harder because I knew at the end of the day that no matter what I do, no matter what job I took on, that I was always going to be successful in one way or another. So
Wow.
I feel that that's where my success lies into is that it was almost embedded in me, but also it also at the end of the day it's my personal push for success. It's my personal push to really defy the laws of whatever people kind of put out there for me to say that I can be indifferent from anything that you could possibly imagine.
Wow.
That is awesome.
You're just a bad egg. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Wow. Oh.
So what within technology, I mean, what drives you? What is your passion about technology that makes you say, I love doing this. This is something where I want to spend the rest of my days doing this. What does that look like for you?
I think unlike any other profession that people go into, technology is always emerging. So when you look at technology if you look at anything from a technological standpoint of something that's emerging and always growing, then how could you possibly get bored? There are so many different avenues that you can grow into. There's so many areas that you can do. There's nothing that is just an everyday routine for anybody who lives within the technical world. So for me, true. I think it's the ability and it's the thought process that no matter what, I could literally do something today and it can be completely different tomorrow. But it's all in what I want to learn. It's all in what I kind of, put myself forward in order to do. And it's all in how far I personally want to take it. So it's interesting to me because it's always emerging. It's always new. It's always different.
Yeah. I'm with you 100% with IT. That's what I love about technology. My ADD helps me because I know I'm always going to be learning something different and new and great. So that pull is there for me as well. So how do you feel? Do you think there's a movement for more growth in IT for women, or is it still they need to work on it? How do you feel about that?
If you look at some of the recent reports with Google kind of pushing a lot of data analytics off into not just women, but also minority women, right? There's a push across the board for women to be able to be within technology and have that growth because, again, because we're underrepresented as a whole. So you have companies who are now within this next year, within their physical year, within their budget, their plan is to really pour into communities to represent women within technology. So with that, no, the future for technology, the future for women, the future for us understanding the difference, the differentiator is there because companies are literally within these next few years, they have budgetary needs to be able to pour into not only, again, just Google has a very large budget just to pour into women in technology, but there's a lot of United States like contracts that have money to pour into Black colleges. It's going to be a very large thing that's going to happen next year to where you're going to see a big difference across the board.
That is amazing. So that kind of brings up another issue that I've seen, or I recently read an article that says that we already know that women are underrepresented within technology, but the article was basically leaning more towards right now because of COVID and being more remote. It's finding that women are struggling to find tech jobs just because of the fact that they're more worried about having more on their plate now, and they have to be more of that they have more to take care of. They have to take care of the household. They have to do everything else. How do you think that plays into where women are in technology and where they want to go?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You kind of went out. Okay. So I think I kind of heard your question. I can understand the responsibilities of, I have a lot of friends who are work at home mothers, and their responsibilities in regards to their children and their family and their husbands, and also with that, the aspect of growing within an organization and being having your voice heard within those organizations. It's a lot to balance.
Right.
So I know that that's a very hard road for anybody to kind of overtake or incorporate within their lives, and that's not an easy road. And I didn't hear your question because it kind of went out at the end. But if I were to assume what your question would be, it would be balance, right? You have to have balance across the board so that you can be successful in all of those areas, so that you can be able to have family, have a husband, and still be able to be a leader within your organization and have a voice within your own, have a voice, period.
Yeah.
I don't think that sometimes that people think that there's this boundary to where you can't be a wife, mother, and also a successful businesswoman. And I think that we're starting to kind of break down some of those boundaries to where women can also say, like, look, I can also be successful. I can also hold my own ground here. I can hold my family down in this aspect. I can be a leader within my organization, and I can still be successful as a whole. And not saying that you're not successful if you do one thing or do the other thing, but whatever people encompass as success, then that's what they encompass as a whole as success. So I think what women are looking at now is that I can also have this like real great career on top of managing being a mother, on top of managing having a husband, on top of managing all of that. And it's all okay now because you know that you have the tools that will help you to be as successful as possible.
Right. Wow. And having said that, I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at with that article is they were basically saying that because of there are so many more other things that are on a woman's plate, that they're saying that they're predicting that there will be some sort of drop off or disparity, where you're saying quite the opposite. You're saying it is okay to kind of still have this and still be able to be successful and do everything that that you want to do career wise and family wise.
Two seconds.
I think we have to start having an open message to our daughters that it's okay to have a career and to also be in love, and that at the end of the day that those two roads are okay to cross over each other, because you have to have a dependency at home to where you can be able to talk about things with your home, with your mate. So I think that we've been taken so far out of that realm sometimes that we just don't believe that there is any journey for us or there's no road for us whatsoever. And I think it's okay for women to start incorporating and telling their daughters that. My mother told me that. My mother told me since I was probably 5 years old that I can be anything that I wanted to be as long as I put my mind to it and as long as I put my heart to it. My father told me daily that I was beautiful and I could do anything and everything that I wanted to do as long as I put forth the effort and the hard work in order to do it. We have to start encouraging the young women about that.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I mean, a little bit about my background is I'm a single parent and I'm divorced, but I have an 18-year-old daughter, and I say and I preach the same things to her. She can do whatever she wants. If she's interested in STEM, if she's interested in medical, if she's interested in technology, it doesn't matter, but she does have the opportunity to pursue whatever she wants. She just needs to have the willingness and the drive to continue down that road.
Yeah. Same thing.
You have a parent like mine that just pushes you in computer science and says, hey, float or swim.
Believe it or not, I did try to get her into that, but she was like, nope, not having it. So I did try.
That leads me to a question that you said that, and I want to ask Brandy, I don't know how to say it or ask it, but I'm just going to do it, and maybe I'll be putting my foot in my mouth. So do women just not like tech? Is that a female thing, or is because your daughter said, "Yeah, I'm not interested." I'm just curious. Do you think on a whole is it female thing that says, "Nah, I'm not that interested in tech," or is it just culture that has created that? I'm curious your thoughts.
I think the problem is that we don't understand what technical jobs are out there. So people don't really understand what technology really encompasses.
That's thousands of different things. Yeah.
There's a million jobs within IT, so they don't understand business managers, developers, web analytics, implementation managers. If you don't understand, and I think the problem a little bit is that when you're in school, you don't really have a true understanding of where you possibly can be at, what these opportunities really kind of, where do they lead to? Unless like I worked as a recruiter for probably about 5 or 6 years. So I had an opportunity not to do it like upfront and close and personal, but to see it from a recruiter standpoint and understand like, oh, okay, well, that's what a developer does. That's what implementation manager does. That's what an analytics person does. So being able to see it through the eyes of a recruiter and understand what all jobs were out there allowed me to be able to narrow down my discipline and understand what I wanted to do. The problem is exposure.
Wow, that is so true. When people say IT, it means 1,000 different things. It can
really
mean
does.
anything, and I think you're right. We just don't understand that yet. As a community, as a world, we don't really get it. Technology is just magical stuff, and we all kind of find our path. And I think you're right. It's almost just an education thing.
No, and it is. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, you guys hit it right on the head. Starting from an early age and just having that exposure, just to say, hey, does this pique my interest? Do I find it fascinating? I think that's really where we need to be kind of starting to structure, giving that guidance to students to say, hey, at least try this. If you like it, then you know where your passion is, and you know where to go, and you know where to pursue.
And there's probably a vein of technology that you will like no matter who you are there, because it's so broad and big and exciting. I mean, I can't do development. I could never be an engineer. I could never be a programmer. That's just not the way my brain works. But I love connectivity. I love networking and making companies connected and phone systems. I love that stuff. And they are completely two different things, but they're in IT.
Exactly. They get grouped in together as, oh, you're in IT. This is what you do.
Oh, that's so cool.
It is. So, Brandy, I have another question for you. So, what should we do to lessen the gap and get more women into tech?
I think the one thing is really having the exposure to some of these math, science disciplines early on, so that children can know, so that students can understand the variety of different, so they can understand the basis of technology, right? And then they can understand where their interest lies. I think also within schools, it should be a little bit, if not schools, my mother personally took an interest in regards to, we used to go to colleges when I was young. Every year we went on college tours. Every year we would do not just the different math science programs. Again, she would take me on college tours so I can understand exactly what schools had to offer. But then also we would also do just kind of like an understanding from a discipline perspective of what exactly these particular disciplines would lead to. So if I told her I wanted to be an education major, she would tell me what the end game would be. You could be a teacher, you can be an administrator, you can end up being a superintendent. So we would go over those things so that I can understand and have a true knowledge of what that end result would be for me. But also as a parent, my mother also did salaries with me too. So I can understand from a salary perspective exactly what the end result would be. How much money do you how much money do you want to make in your life? How much money does it take for you to actually live? And what does that really take in order for you to be successful? So those are some of the exercises that my mother personally did with me so that I can have a true understanding. My mother, my aunt, my uncles, they all were actively involved in that process so that they can ensure my personal success. So I think where it starts with, it takes a village to raise an entire family. My village poured into me daily to ensure my personal success. My village poured into me so that I can understand exactly what my end game was, so that I can understand like, oh, okay, well, technology is kind of cool. And they would point out the different things. Well, there are some people within technology that make $300,000, $400,000 a year. There are people within technology and developers who are extremely successful because of this, and this is the path they can possibly lead to. So it takes parents really being actively involved and families being very actively involved so that you can have someone who can be on the other end and the other spectrum, and they can be able to really be exploratory and also tear down doors that weren't necessarily open to them in the beginning.
That is awesome.
Wow. What I love, it's kind of, it goes back to, that core of your family getting in there and getting you excited about things. I look back at my life and my mom was a very open person, and it was and my dad also a very open person, and it was just do whatever. Do whatever, Bobby. You'll be fine. Just do whatever. And I kind of wished my parents had been a little more, do this. I kind of wish I'd have had a little more focus than go be a rock star, do whatever the hell you want, go have fun. I kind of envy that you had a family that was so structured and kind of push you into, because you don't know what you want when you're a kid. You just
you really don't.
You don't have a clue what passion. I mean, it's all over. I just think that is so powerful, and it's kind of the core of this when you have a family and, like you said, a whole family structure that pushes you away as a child. That's a big deal, and I think that's the way the culture moves and changes, by starting there.
100% agree. And with having said that, Bobby, my upbringing was kind of like yours. I mean, my parents were like, "Well, you'll figure it out. Go do what you want. Go find it out and go do what makes you happy." But ultimately, I'm kind of like Brandy's parents with my daughter. I do kind of teach her these things. I don't let her give up, and I kind of point out to her, well, what do you expect to make in your lifetime? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? And then I make her look up salaries and understand, like, well, if you do this, there's nothing wrong with this type of career, but you got to understand that this is what you're set up to make for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I think I'm kind of the same way with my kids. I really push them to focus and and I don't want them to be scattered. And I just am impressed with my own children and how focused they've been. And my daughter is one of the greatest human beings on the planet. She's 23 now, married. She has type 1 diabetes, and she helps people and does all this stuff. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I love seeing and being a parent and focusing and showing them you are a powerhouse of a human being. Get out there and change the world.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. I mean, we want better for our children than we've had for ourselves, or what our parents gave to us. So
yeah,
we want to make sure that we're providing that and moving that needle forward, not backwards. So with having said that, I mean, how many women do you think you've worked with in tech, Brandy? And how do you think we can get more people around you or more women with you to understand where technology is going and how to get them excited about it?
I think you have to. So working in tech, I've probably, even on the team that I currently work on, which I have a pretty kind of innovative leader right now who's very, he pushes the needle as far as it can possibly go, and it's been a very long time since I've seen a leader be able to push the needle just as far. So his leaders within his organization they aren't the normal leaders that you would normally see. And I think it's not that he's doing that purposely. He has promoted the people who he feels are best and the people who are who've really proven themselves on their team. And the team that I'm on now, they have literally worked hard to ensure the success of the team. So those are the people who stay until 12, 11, 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes to make sure that no matter what, the application runs to the sufficiency that it needs to run. I think in order to, women just have to take a pure interest and understand that no matter what, the way the world is going, everything is going to be a technology base.
Oh, yeah.
So if you don't have
100%.
some aspect of some form of technology, if you don't get the basis of it, then you have to understand where will that lead you later on. Nurses, you have nurses in IT now. You have aspects of everything is moving towards some form of area of technology. So I think that with that in mind, I think women just have to be more progressive in that spirit to understand that there's no way to run from it.
Yeah.
You have
That's
to embrace
right.
it and embrace it as much as possible.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's why we're doing the show, The New IT, because it is changing in the fact that it's ubiquitous now. Technology is everywhere. The old IT infrastructure is just not the same. Everybody are almost project managers instead of IT people. They're figuring out the whole business form of how it connects with the company instead of just being in your little silo in your little box.
Exactly.
I agree.
Wow, this is cool. This is cool. Thanks, Brandy, for being on the show and your insight and your smarts and knowledge. I'm excited. I've learned myself a lot here today.
Absolutely, and so have I. I mean, Brandy. I know we've known each other for a couple of years now, but it's been a pleasure working with you. But I really feel truly grateful to get to know more about you and your journey, and get to know where you want to see technology and where you want to go with it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you guys having me here. I did want to say one thing, though. If you don't have a family structure like I have, right, because some people don't have that. You know, my family is very strong. We're very close. We have that type of bond to where we help each other out. But sometimes people also have to, again, we spoke about at the beginning of the interview, how you have to dig within. And you have to have that pit in your stomach to make sure that you're successful no matter what. And I just want to also encourage people who don't have a very supportive family, because I understand that I am very blessed to have that. Some people don't have that. So you have to dig within to understand that you're great. You have to look in the mirror daily and tell yourself that you're great, you're wonderful, you can succeed, and you can surpass any obstacle that comes your way as long as you believe in yourself.
Absolutely. And not only that, I mean, I think finding like-minded people that share the same values with you, we all say this. I mean, yes, not everybody has family, but I think as a culture and as a society, we've come to have friends that are like family. And if you find people that have that same interest in you with you, then they can become like family and help be that support system that you need.
Yeah.
I agree. And mentorship is super important too. So also make sure people need to I encourage people, you know, to get mentors. You know, my biggest change in my career was when my brother told me, who again is now a very nice CEO of a nonprofit, of a very large nonprofit. He said, Brandy, who are your mentors? And let's list them out. And let's understand where we're going to be at in 5 years from now. And let's make sure that no matter what, we're going to get there. And we're going to make sure that we have you surrounded by the right people in order to make sure that at your end of your conclusion of this is exactly where you need to be. So my brother and I, we did an exercise. We sat down. We got mentors. We started reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Got more mentors. So like, you just have to make sure that you are in charge of your destiny and you expand your community so that you can be as successful as possible.
Absolutely.
Wow. You're just so driven. I love. You're my mentor. Hopefully, right. Everything you say, I'm like, man, this is so powerful. You should be a motivational speaker, not in tech,
right?
I mean, yeah, tech's cool. No, we're talking about that. No, I get it. But man, I get excited listening to you, because you can tell that your life is yours and you've created it the way you wanted to, because you made that choice and you kicked butt. And I think anybody out there that hears that knows that's how you move forward.
Absolutely.
You don't take no for an answer, and you move forward and be the best you can possibly be. Thank you, Brandy, for being that. Any last words? Any last thing you'd like to leave us with?
Love yourself. Work hard. Know that you are in charge of your destiny, and just kick butt. That's all. Just dig deep, kick butt, and just love yourself, and know at the end of the day that you are in charge and you can be whatever you want yourself to be or whatever you position yourself to be.
Wow. That's a great way to end the show.
It is. So one last thing, Brandy, how can people get a hold of you?
Definitely. My company is AEM and Analytics Consulting. So you can definitely look up our website at aemanalyticsconsulting.com. You can definitely reach out to me we have definitely a contact us through there. I'll give my phone number too, because I don't mind. 404-808-2338. In regards of development needs, our analytics needs, there's definitely some things that I want to kind of do some real forward movement towards within those areas. So if you want to reach out to me, I'm definitely open to it. Consulting, working together in every way possible.
Awesome. Well, cool. Thank you, everyone, for listening to The New IT, and we will see you next time.